This November has been absolutely stacked with some huge releases, and I know most of our time has already been spent playing the stuff like Arc Raiders, the new Call of Duty, and just so much more. What I wanted to do today though is actually look back over this November, and to be honest, to see if there were any games that we may have missed that are worth keeping on your radar. There are actually around 12 games that I noticed that did slip my own personal net, so I wanted to highlight them in today's video. Let me know as well if you want to see a video like this every single month, and let's just dive right into it. First up, we actually had a pretty decent PC only release that's finally landed onto our consoles this November, and that was for Satisfactory. This is a first person open world automation game that lets you harvest sprawling alien landscapes to construct epic assembly lines, customize power systems, and even explore with vehicles, jetpacks, and more. The game did hit its 1.0 release on PC, I believe all the way back in 2024 now, with updates adding so many gameplay enhancements and also blueprint improvements. It was great finally seeing this game land, as all of us console players got the chance to finally dive into this creative tug of war between building the perfect industrial empire and just surviving that wild frontier. I've actually been playing this one on and off over the past couple of weeks, and it's just so insanely addictive. I do highly recommend grabbing it if you do get the chance, especially as the price point is actually pretty decent as well. On the 5th of November, we actually received a really cool game that nailed some co-op charm, and to be honest, we do actually lack a lot of these cool and unique co-op games on our Xbox consoles this day and age. Well, Biped 2 was actually a release that I was happy to see after doing a bit more digging, and I've actually been playing this one with my partner, and it can be a ton of fun, bugs aside. It's essentially a physics-based platformer where you and a buddy control two adorable robots, using only their legs to walk, climb, and solve clever puzzles. It does sound pretty simple within its premise, until you're tiptoeing around collapsing bridges, or just trying to time every step pretty perfectly. I never actually played the first entry, but I did look at some reviews prior to picking this one up, and it was noted by many out there that this one really builds on everything that made the first game so great, such as tighter controls, better mechanics, and so much more. Again, it's a pretty cheap game to pick up this month, and I do recommend it, especially with the holiday season coming upon us. I absolutely adore indie games, and as many of you know, I always want to highlight a select few that really catch my eye, or just receive some insanely great feedback from the community. One of those games which was never on my radar was Heroes of Mount Dragon, and from the moment that I caught a glimpse of the art style, I put it straight in my basket. This is another couch or online co-op experience, so again, great for Christmas coming up, but it's essentially an action-packed side-scrolling brawler. Of course, we do have the likes of Towerborn on Xbox, however, this one is really hitting me in that sort of Castle Crashers nostalgia, and brings us some pretty awesome boss battles. From my short time with it so far, it has a sort of Dungeons and Dragons based Saturday morning cartoon feel, both in its design and its humour, but I will say the dialogue is a bit hit and miss. Still is a pretty decently priced game, and definitely worth another pickup. An Xbox Game Pass release that has massively gone under the radar for this November was Whiskerwood, and I feel many actually neglected this game since it's a PC only release at the time of this recording. If you do have a PC though, and also PC Game Pass of course, then I do highly recommend this, as it's been heavily praised by many outlets and players out there, and it looks as though it could actually be one of the best city style builders over the past couple of years. To give you some background of this one, it has you establishing a new home for some industrious mice, and that's all whilst they're living under the tyrannical rule of some cat overlords. Like many city builders, you'll have to do stuff like exploring untamed lands, growing your own crops, and then gather all manner of commodities while keeping your mouse folk happy, and of course meeting the intense demands of your rulers. It's so bloody unique, and the gameplay loop has been hooking players so well, so it's definitely worth checking out if you have a PC or on the Xbox Ally handhelds. I am pretty sure many of you who still partake within the Xbox achievement hunting community probably would have heard of Surviving Mars, as to be honest, it was really synonymous with a quick gamerscore bump. Well, out of seemingly nowhere, Surviving Mars Relaunched has now arrived onto Xbox, and it's got a pretty substantial and welcome overhaul to it. It has brought with it upgraded visuals, an updated UI, and even some brand new content, and that's all whilst the Ultimate Edition also bundles the Prime Mission Expansion Pass with new in-game mission sponsors and access to 2 brand new upcoming DLC. I have actually seen in reviews they do mention it's not the most essential pickup for this November, so I reckon that's probably why I got overshadowed a bit, but it's still definitely a solid upgrade for an already great game. Goodnight Universe was actually brought to my attention earlier this month, and that was all thanks to Skiller, and for me, it's actually one of the most surprising indie games that I might have played for this entire year. In this one, you're basically put in the shoes of Isaac, a 6-month-old baby, and you're developing some mysterious psychic powers. What you want most though is to essentially be loved and accepted by your family, but a secretive tech corporation wants you for their very own to basically abuse your powers. The game features an immersive camera as controller mode, expanding on the innovative use of camera-based technology that this dev team is actually known for. This one really is such a great indie project with an incredibly emotional story that dives into some very deep themes. Again, it is moderately priced, and anyone who does try this will instantly fall in love with it. Then we have MORSELS, and this one actually came to us via Annapurna Interactive, and it calls itself a fast-paced creature-collecting roguelike with a rotating roster of characters to switch between mid-game. In this one, you'll essentially need to overcome a bunch of killer cats as you fight your way out of the sewers in this unique action-packed journey. That's as much as I really know about this one, but a few people have contacted me saying this is ridiculously good indie that got next to no marketing. I can see that it has quite a distinct art style, and I do reckon that's probably why I was a little bit neglected in terms of an audience, but apparently the game is of course that roguelike, but a complete opposite of something like Hades, which made the mechanics feel totally unique and just totally bonkers. The fact that reviews over on Steam currently sits at 80% very positive makes it so justified to land on this list, especially as it's less than £11 right now on the Xbox Store. CloverPit is easily one of my favourite games of this entire year, and I do reckon many of you might ignore this one due to the basic premise and the gameplay on screen. It is out now on Xbox and Xbox Game Pass, as it did shadow drop earlier this month at the Xbox Partner Preview event. On the surface, the game looks pretty simple to you, but then again, that is so far from the truth. You're essentially locked in a rusty room, and there are only two ways out: through a door or into a pit. You'll plummet into the latter if you fail to pay off your rapidly increasing debt, so that means you'll be using a slot machine to basically try and earn enough money to keep your run going. I cannot understate how ridiculously addictive this game gets, and if you've played anything like Balatro, you already know what I mean. You will instantly sink hours of your time into this one, and it's also a great one to play on the go with the Xbox handhelds too. As many of you know, it has been a while now since we've had a standout Lord of the Rings game, but we do have one that's been faring pretty well over the past couple of years. Though smaller than the RPG hits like Shadow of Mordor, open world survival game Return to Moria has performed incredibly well with its niche audience. Now it's gotten a whole lot better as well, as we finally received a massive free update and the game's first major expansion since the release, and it's called Durin's Folk. Honestly, diving back into this one again has made me all giddy for another Lord of the Rings binge, and the updates and quality of life improvements they've brought to the table are pretty substantial, to be honest. Of course, the main bit though is the brand new DLC, which adds a brand new Survivors Gimli company, some new songs, a host of new building sets and features, and so much more. It's fairly priced, and I do think it's a shame that this one never got mentioned or even discussed earlier this month by many different press outlets out there, and is one that I always recommend, especially when it comes up in these sales videos. If you're like me and you love a good roguelike or even strategy game, then you need to check out Remnants of the Rift, and this was one game that randomly landed into my inbox a couple weeks back now. This game has everything you could want within a game: some awesome combat, cool visuals, and a very unique story. In this one, you play as Morgan, a mercenary who dives into the Bast, which is a new reality that's been merged with your own. The game's combat system is really cool as well. It's a sort of mix between real-time action and time-freezing strategy. This means that you can pause the action at any time and plan out your moves before jumping back into the fray, and let me tell you, those visuals alongside that are utterly stunning. The retro-futuristic art style is just so bloody cool, and it's also set to an amazing soundtrack that really immerses you within the game's world. Honestly though, what really sets Remnants of the Rift apart for me though was its story. Overall, if you're a fan of roguelikes and strategy games, then you need to give this one a try as soon as possible. It's a seriously cool game with awesome combat, great visuals, and such a great and unique story. This game really flew under the radar this November, and it was never mentioned even Microsoft's big November Xbox Game Pass Wave 1 reveal, and that was for the Xbox Series X and S upgrade for Stellaris Console Edition, and it quietly joined the service. If you already own a digital copy of the game though on your Xbox One or even Series consoles, the upgrade is free of charge as well. Stellaris itself though has actually been around on Game Pass now for I believe 6 years or so, and the PC version is still pretty popular in terms of a strategy game itself. It is as dense and complicated as any Paradox strategy game though, as you really have to love getting your hands on with the micromanagement of your intergalactic colonies. The Xbox Series X and S upgrade though does actually include stuff like 4K resolution, boosted performance, enhanced visuals, and a little bit more. Again, it is available right now, and I know many of you probably never even knew this even happened. It's definitely worth diving into, and you'll understand why it's one of the best strategy games available on Xbox Game Pass. What games have you been playing this November? You'll have to let me know in the comments below, and let's have a discussion, as I'm always keen to hear what you guys have been playing and if there's any that you want to bring to my attention. Again, do smash that like button if you enjoyed a video like this, and of course let me know if you want to see more like this every single month, and again subscribe for more Xbox content on a daily basis. A big shout out as well to our channel members for your continued support here on the channel, and if you do want to join for videos early, some exclusive discounts and a little bit more, then click that join button down below. Whilst here though, and if you want to check out some more awesome Xbox content, why don't you check out the video on screen now. I recently covered the 17 brand new Xbox and Game Pass games that were just announced or even updated, and I tell you what, there's a lot of things to get excited about here.